the old heads, the conservative, the dollar cost average guys, they were right. They were right. I was wrong. Basically everything everybody told me in the beginning was right. Just dollar cost average, buy and hold, don't try to time the market, don't spend too much time on it, don't day trade. Day trading's will ruin you. This thing doesn't want to stick right now. And they were right. It took me years to realize they were right because I got out way ahead, I did like a 200% in the first 6 months. Triple my money, right? And I did it. Guess what? I started with leverage. I didn't discover leverage late. I discovered perpetual futures after a couple years, but at the very beginning I was like, all right, I'm going to use leverage. I did it took my Bitcoin and used it as collateral for loans. In the first year, I had never debt in my life. I had $100,000 in outstanding loans. And I got out at the top too. I thought I was such a fucking genius. And I was like, y'all dollar cost it. Everybody who told me to. But honestly, so by the way, welcome in fam, much love, Trav here. The problem is time, right? So I'm gonna keep sharing this, but I wish I had known this earlier. I just kind of jumped in and was just doing too much immediately and never slowed down to even think about it, really. That's how it feels. And there's some studies that find inverse correlation between how frequently a trader checks their portfolio and their success. So the more you check, the more you lose. People who check multiple times a day tend to underperform the market. People who check once a week or less tend to outperform the market, or at least match the market. They do better, right? They have better outcomes. Okay, how am I gonna do this thing with this thing not falling off? I need some super glue or something. So, honestly, the thing is, if you have leverage, you can't just buy and hold. You have to have an uncle point, right? Because at some point you can get liquidated. So I had to sell at the top. And it made a lot of sense to, and it felt smart for a long time. But what ended up happening, and you guys don't understand, there's so many comments like, well, when you this guy's mentally ill with $1 million. I'm mentally ill, I'm broke. I wish I had the $1 million. Yeah, it's gonna make your life easier in some ways. It's not gonna make you happier. And one of the things that happens if you come up in a lot of money in a short period of time is you're going to focus on it more, generally, actually, is what happens. The idea I'm going to make more and then I'm going to coast. Well, think about it. If you go from 10,000 to a million, you're going to pay way more attention with the million. So what ends up happening is you watch more and then your performance goes down. And one of the reasons why is cognitive overload. So what's cognitive overload is you're just doing too much. You stressed and you begin to make errors. And this is when the trading addiction cycle starts, where you have the euphoria of making a lot, and then you have the stress of losing it, and then you have the hope of making more, and then you focus more on the thing, and then you make cognitive errors because you're stressed out. And it just becomes a spiral and a cycle of highs and lows and more time, and your life starts to drift away, your other interests start to drift away, and you start to lose money also. And I say you, but when I say you, I mean I. This happened to me, right? So if I could go back, I mean, in theory, I have a trading system that beats dollar cost average. I have a trading system now that beats buy and hold. It's easy to implement. Can I, though, after all this trauma and all this bad habits? And yeah, I mean, like PTSD, basically. I mean, I have an awesome trading system. It beats buy and hold. I don't need to trade that much. I don't know. I'm going to try. Thanks for you guys rooting for me. I'm going to try. You know, I didn't blow up everything. I didn't lose everything. I'm still in a decent financial situation. I've still got collateral, but I mean, over time, the DCA guys beat me because I just couldn't keep it up, right? So it's also about the mindset of, if I'm dollar cost averaging, I can withstand drawdowns. And if you can withstand drawdowns, it's just much easier to trade, right? If you don't have to cut your losses and you can just keep holding and buying more with conviction, it's a lot easier, it's less stressful. Although one thing is, though, with this belief, it shatters the idea that I'm just gonna like live off my trading gains. I don't think it's just way too hard to live off your trading gains because of drawdown. You're always going to have drawdown. You're always going to lose money trading some of the time. And when you're relying on that, whether you make millions, even if you make millions and you like lose 100 grand in a month, dude, it's so stressful. Where if you plan on dollar cost averaging, you never put yourself in that position, because it's like, I'm always going to have excess income, right? The goal is not to make the most possible money or work the least, is to feel abundant, right? You want to be you want to be finding work that you enjoy that gives you a surplus of income and investing it. Trading's just not the way to go, man. You may be one of the few that wins, but again, even when you win, you lose, right? A lot of the time. Some stats on day trading: 90% of day traders net lose money. Only 10 to 15% over time make money. And even again, the 10 to 15% might be mentally ill and alone, or sleep with computer alarms that wake them up in the middle of the night. I mean, what's the trading addiction percentage for day traders? It's got to be super high. If you consider 90% of day traders are losing money and continuing, right? There's some kind of mental illness there. Why are they doing it? Why don't you stop and paper trade, right? Why don't you stop and develop a system, right? 90%, probably 100%. I mean, the Venn diagram of mental illness and day trading has almost got to be 1-to-1. It's not, yeah. So dollar cost averaging just avoids so many pitfalls in trading. And the main one is giving you time. Like, you don't have to think about much of anything, right? In trading, there's too many decisions to make, and it leads to making the wrong ones at the wrong time. And then that can just cause spiral and destruction. So yeah, I'm here to tell you that if I could go back, I wouldn't use the leverage, and I just wouldn't even sell. And I would have I might have quit my job, but I would have immediately gone to another job. I would have thought about, how do I want to spend my time? I don't want to spend it on the computer. I don't want to spend it on the phone staring at charts, right? I just don't believe we're in a world where Americans, 95% of the time, they spend it inside or in a car, 5% outside. About an hour a day outside. The average American, 1 hour a day outside, 7 hours a day inside. 7 hours a day on the internet. 7 hours a day on the internet, 1 hour a day outside. This is not okay with me, right? I'm trying to invert that. 1 hour a day on the internet, 7 hours a day outside, if not more. So this is why I'm working on the boats. I'm working on hiking tours. My off days, I'm gonna go up in the mountains, hunt goats. I'm surfing, I'm out in the ocean. And I am thinking about my trading plan. Like, I don't need to, but it's good to dabble in the markets when, dabble's not the right word. It's good to be invested when the dollar depreciates. What's the best way for me to do it? Should I just get back into dollar cost average and forget it? Or can I trade my system? Which, by the way, you can check out the system. There's a link to it down below. That's the current plan. Can I trade the system? The way you would trade it, the way I would trade it, would be to, on the first of the month, take an hour to mark the major levels and set alerts for Bitcoin, gold, and one of the stock market indices, maybe S&P 500. And then I would only log in if I get an alert, and I'm expecting to get on average 1 alert per asset per month. And then I would only need to log in 4 days a month. But can I stick with that? Or is that going to be a slippery slope back to checking charts all the time, not sleeping, right? And I mean, my story is a good outcome. I could tell you about my friend who got liquidated $1 million, and all his friends, not me though, but a lot of his friends' accounts were copy traded to his. So he liquidated everyone, right? He lost everyone all their money. And I think there were some large sums of money lost. I mean, not just his $1 million, but his friends lost more potentially, right? So mine's not even a bad outcome, but what you can't see is the amount of toxic stress and PTSD, and right, if you're considering going that road, just don't do it. And if you're only continuing because, well, I've made it this far and I've invested so much, I have to make it to the end. You don't, right? That's like a losing trade that you refuse to cut, right? At some point, you gotta walk away. There's people, I have comments, I've been trading for 15 years, consistently unprofitable, blow my whole paycheck every single week. 15 straight years, right? There's some really bad outcomes here. And people ask, is this just trading? Is this just trading? You can do this in anything. No, not everything leads to this, right? Not everything is set up like gambling, where you can blow everything at any single day, right? I've run a lot of businesses. It's not possible to lose all your money in a single day if you want to. It's not really possible to go off the like for my YouTube business. Maybe there's some amount of compulsion in like responding to comments, but it's not really interrupting my sleep, and I can't lose money on it. I only make money or make a little or make a lot, right? So this isn't telling you to YouTube, but I'm just really warning you on the dangers of trading. And yeah, I think the dollar cost average people are right. I started with this idea like, oh, I'm never gonna day trade. It's scrub losers, and then I like got into it. It's almost like method acting. The last 3 years, I got into a role so I could learn the ins and outs. Yeah, not worth it, yo. Not worth it at all. Okay. All right. Appreciate y'all, guys. I got lots more coming. Keep staying subscribed. Keep watching. And I will be back to the markets. I'm just taking my sweet time and thinking about how to do it in a way that adds joy to my life and not pain, and doesn't screw with my mental health. So see if I can find that out. Okay, appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.